Yes. Share my screen. All right. Wonderful. Great. Great to have all of you here. And yes, would love to seek your introduction, everyone. And this particular webinar is um, basically an event whereby we will learn about what we can do using data science on the supply chains data. Okay. All right. Okay. Wonderful to have everyone here. And hi, Tariq. Great to have you here. And all right. No worries. I think everybody except for myself is on mute. Okay. So, by the way of introduction, I am Sandeep Giri. I worked in the top tech companies earlier. Then I founded T-Bits, then Cloud Club, then Turno. So this is my third startup, and basically, basically, what we're building is building is your data scientist. Okay, so Turno is your data scientist. Using Turno, we can build the data science projects, or we can do the data science on your data, or you yourself can do it without our intervention. And it basically analyzes your data in your premises without an external, without uploading the data somewhere else. Okay. So I'm going to walk you through like the agenda for today. Today we are going to first talk about what exactly is our product Turno, then various case studies of data science in supply chain, and then also we talk about the various use cases of AI and data science in supply chain. All right. All right. All right. Wonderful to have people from across the globe. And yeah, certificate will not be a problem. Don't worry. We'll share the certificate of participation. And now that we can see that you have put a message in the chat, would love to, send you the certificate. All right. Wonderful. Wonderful to have people from Zambia, Nigeria, Toronto, India, and yeah, super impressed. Wonderful. Hi, Madina. Hi, Sandeep. Hi, Nurain. Hi, Rehat. Hi, Sudeep. Great to have you here. Hi, Ravi. All right. I'm just, yeah. We have Pranay from Japan. Wonderful. We have Venkat from Bangalore. Amazing. Perfect. Perfect. All right. Okay. So I would love to seek your introduction, everyone. I will after the session, I will go through the chat and would read through your introduction. Would love to have you guys in the okay. So would keep you guys updated later on. So we have people from everywhere. All right. And myself, I'm located in Toronto. And if you are nearby, would love to catch up. All right. All right. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So, what exactly is Turno AI? Turno AI is your data scientist. Now, when I say your means it can run on your premises. You can use it on our cloud, you can install it on your cloud, you can install it on your desktop. So the desktop version is yet to be out, but we are going to soon make the desktop version out. It learns and understands your data sources automatically and by interaction with you. Okay. So so the way Turno works is that you connect your data sources, your databases and everything. It studies them, comes up with its own knowledge graph, and once it has the knowledge graph, it can start answering to your question. It can give insights and automatically figure out what kind of questions are good for your kind of data set. And further, when you interact with it, it learns with your interaction. So that is the core idea of Turno. So Turno basically instantly analyzes enterprises data and gets actionable insights by asking questions. You can ask you can ask questions in plain natural language, and Turno can answer in that language, right? So you can securely connect to any data source, MCP, ERP, and so on and so forth. So you can connect to all kind of systems and services, and you can let the Turno analyze, right? So your data could be in your SAP, ERP, or CRM, or your own systems. Your data could be in various databases. Your data could be in let's say analytic systems and so on. So you can basically connect all those sources to Turno and start analyzing those. Now, basically, Turno ensures enterprise grade security with SQL Shield, and it provides the full control of what schema and what data can be accessed. It is basically it's a secure infrastructure. It has the credential management, access control, and everything. You can perform the full analytics workflow, right? You can do the exploratory data analytics, you can do advanced machine learning modeling, real-time processing, and automatic report generation. So let's just jump right into it. So if you go to Turno AI, okay, you can just sign up. And once you sign up, your org will be created. And if you want to create more organizations, you can create more. For every organization, you'll get one domain here, like this. So, like my data for other companies that I have run, I use it here. Okay, so what you see here is that this is the default interface whereby we these are the configured queries, what kind of questions you can ask on this database. Okay, all right. So like for example, you can just click on any of this and you can start getting answers. Second, you can attach your file and get the answers. Next is you can just go here and add the data sources. Okay. You can basically, if you are in your own org, like here, let's say, okay, all right. Yeah. Yeah. You can add the data source. When you create your own data source, create your own organization, you can add the data source and you can add the data sources here, and that should do it. All right. So, so basically, let's say your data exists in Oracle, you give the URL for the Oracle, and then you can add the data source. And once you add the data source, you will be able to interact with it like the way we have here. Okay. So, all right. Next is, yeah. Okay. So I can just show you how it works quickly. Show me purchases made by customers in Canada using this data source. I have three data sources here, Demo, SQLite. It has these tables. This is a pretty simple one. This is a global data that we have imported into it. This is one, and so on. And this is the Odoo, the data source whereby we have configured an ERP system called Odoo into this. So you can basically see that it has started working on your database. It's writing code, observe to understand your data sources, and it figured out that which table to talk to, and afterwards it has run the query. So it shows that here, these are the columns, and it has given the result. So these are the purchases made by customers located in Canada in this particular database. Okay, that's it. All right. So these are just dummy data that we have added, but it can do all the work that is needed. Okay. All right. So this is the example of the data that it has gathered and so on. Okay. You can further interact with it. Uh, Give me a CSV file to download. Okay. It can basically just give me the CSV file to download. Okay. So you can connect to your data sources, your files, your CSV file, or any kind of file, and you can start doing that process. You can have, if you have, let's say, some data is in JSON file, some data in CSV, some data is in database, you can merge all of that together into one place, okay, using Turno. So Turno can do all of that. All right. So yes, so Turno in simple words is your data scientist. Okay. Turno in very simple word is your data scientist. It learns and understands your data sources automatically and by interaction with you. Okay. All right. Now, the way Turner works is you ask a question, upload file, or connect your data sources, and then Turner interacts with your system and data sources by the way of something called chain of thought reasoning. And then it basically figures out by interacting with all of these data sources what is relevant to you for your query and gives you the result. Around your data sources, it creates something called knowledge layer. We also call it semantic layer and a security layer so that you can basically, in the security layer, you can decide what to show and what not to show. Okay. You can just sign up and get started. It's pretty straightforward. And yeah, it'll just take probably 1 minute of your time to sign up and get started. Okay. How is Turno AI different from ChatGPT? ChatGPT, right, doesn't have access to your database because Turno can be hosted in your own premises, and therefore Turno will basically process all the data locally in your cloud. Okay, that's not true for any other LLM. Okay. So we basically do use the third-party LLMs, but we do not send your data to the LLM. Instead, we send basic metadata information. Now, it builds the knowledge graph on your data to understand it. So goes through your tables, it goes through your columns, rows, few records in your data, just to understand what is there in your database. Okay. Because databases are humongous, databases are in gigabytes of data, so it's not possible to upload the database somewhere else. Second, if you upload the database to somewhere else, what will happen is after a while, you will basically have to upload it again, probably in next 1 hour because your data changes. So it's not possible to just upload the data somewhere, export it to CSV or upload. Here, and that's why we created Turno, that you don't need to upload your data to our place. Instead, you can just connect your data sources to us, and that's how you can get started. And the way, as soon as you connect the data sources to Turno, Turno will go through your database, understand what it is, and so on. Further, you can also ask Turno to do the detailed more analysis on your tables and come up with better, you know, perspective. So, and basically, Turno is in the end, it's a conversational AI data scientist. It writes code in case a particular library, let's say you want to do the vision, let's say you want to extract the text from a file, then Turno will download automatically whatever library is needed and will get your work done, no matter how. Okay. It provides you enterprise grade security, and it provides a SQL Shield powered database and firewall. Further, it runs all its logic inside a sandbox. So even if you are downloading Turno and running it locally on your machine is completely safe. Your database is completely safe, your machine is completely safe. So you basically don't have to worry at all about the automatic agent doing something malicious. And it also has something called app services. So in Interno, once you are, I'll just show you something that I wanted to do. Okay. So let's say here, once you are done with any work, you can create an app service. Because if, let's say, you have to very frequently do the same work, you can just create an app service and you don't need to keep on doing it again and again. Like here, this is one of my services which you can run, and let's say top 100 users token you want to find out, so you can just run it and that's it. Okay. All right. So you can basically create an app service for anything and it will work just fine. So you can create an app service, and um, what you can do is, let's say you every day you have to see the reports of your conversions. How is your website doing with respect to conversions? So you can connect your data source, and then you can just do the analysis once and then create the app service. Now this app service would not require any conversation with the LLM anymore. It'll just do the analysis for you and give you the results. Okay. So those are the few things that are powers of Turno. One of the other things is that it can be customized for your organization, because every organization might have tribal knowledge, some knowledge that you have to inform Turno, that you can basically define something called organizational prompt. And in organizational prompt, you can define that in my organization, AB means absolute, something like that, like the local knowledge. Okay. All right. Let me walk through the questions quickly. Yes. Thank you, Gaurav. Gaurav saying that Turno AI is truly impressive. The analytics behind it are superb. It's clear how it can add value for FMCG company. However, I'm curious to understand how it will benefit the pharma industry's supply chain. Yeah, yeah. So it is, by the way, it is being used in pharma industry in their basically in their sales and marketing optimizations. So, and with respect to the supply chain, I'll go through a couple of examples of the use cases, and you'll be able to connect. Question from Viswa is that will Turno AI have capability to help software developers in code reviews and standards compliance? So Turno AI is designed to be an AI data scientist. Okay. It's not a coding assistant. It's not a software development assistance tool. Probably a Cursor or GitHub Copilot, those will be a better tools for that. Turno AI has a sharp focus on the data scientist domain. Okay. All right. So, question from Vispa is that how can these claims be verified when I see all the features? You can take a look at the Turno AI software. We'll just, if you want, you can schedule a demo. I would walk you through the entire of the backend. Like we provide you with, let's say, certain tables can be hidden. You can enforce that. You can say that, okay, don't show these tables. Then Turno will not show those tables at all, or you can rename things. You can hide some columns, you can hide some rows, and then ask the LLM to query that data. You'll find that LLM is not able to access any of that. Okay. A question from Aditi is that is it paid for organizations to use? Yes, it is paid for organizations use. And yeah, open source version is yet to be out. We are yet to make some part of it open source. And yeah, so the way it, the plan works is it's a freemium model. So you can sign up and utilize up to say $10 per day on Turno.ai. $10 of the credits is free. Afterwards, if you are going to use more, you can just pay. So you can initially get started for free, and then in case you're using it, you can pay. All right. You don't have to right now worry about all the payment and all, right? In case you are not able to afford and you need it, just ping me and we can figure out something win-win. Okay. So a question from Pallavi is that it is paid to organization use or open source. Right now, the open source version is yet to be out. We will be launching an open source version whereby they'll not have all the features. It'll have the backend which basically helps you do the knowledge graph and which helps you do the memorization. It basically has the memory. It learns with you about the organization, and then that part will be available as part of open source, but the whole user experience will not be. Okay. The full software is paid as in terms of subscription. It is going to be something like around $39 per month. Okay. And maybe for the exact numbers we will share very soon. So yeah. Okay. A question from Aditi is, it's a very good question. So, okay. Uh, A question from Aditi is, does it also support data versioning? Yes, it has its own internal versioning for the metadata, not the data, because we do not touch the data. We do not modify it. We do not restore it, but we have the metadata versioning internal. Yeah. A question from Kuldeep is how can it be helpful in facility or administration? So wherever you have to do analysis, wherever you have to, let's say, merge the data or do all other kind of work, it can be used, right? Even if let's say you have hundreds of Excel sheets and you want to combine them into one based on certain things, those kind of things can be done. So it's your practically the data scientist. It'll just code to get your work done. Okay. Instead of you coding, this data scientist will code for you. Okay, you'll just say that, can you do this? Can you do that? And it'll just get it done. It not only gives back you the code, it basically runs it and gives you the results. Okay. In case that, let's say you asked it to, let's say, analyze a particular sheet, and it need to use, let's say, some sort of domain specific model, it'll figure that out and install all that and get it done. Okay. So yeah, a question from Shreyas is that is the data uploaded to Turno environment? In case, so there are three ways you can install Turno. The first way is there are three ways you can use Turno. One is using our environment. So we have set up an environment for small, small to medium-sized organizations who want to just get started and who can connect their data source to our platform. In that case, if you are connecting your data to our platform, we will only gather the knowledge, not the data. We'll not copy the data here. Okay. Second, if you are installing Turno on your cloud, then nothing comes to us. The data doesn't come to us. It remains there. Now, next is if you are downloading on your desktop, then also we won't have access to anything. It will be your own instance. Your data remains on your machine. Okay. So if you're installing in your environment or on your server, the data remains with you. But if you're connecting to our hosted service, if you're attaching a file, then the data will come to us. If you're not attaching a file, just connecting it, only the metadata will come to us. We'll not be copying the data. Okay. Very good questions. Very good questions. A question from Sandeep is how would this differentiate the difference between the domains like manufacturing, energy, and utilities, etc. I believe knowledge is required to return correct results and output. Correct. So very good question and very difficult one, right? So first is Turno tries to understand what kind of data is there in your systems. When you connect the systems, it just goes through a bit of data and figures out what's going on, right? And that's again optional. If you don't want Turno to look around your data, you can just say that we want to disable the exploration. So it would explore your data and figure out your domain. Further, you can tell at the time of configuring that what kind of database it is, what kind of data it is, and you can inform it upfront. Okay. And then it'll come up with all the ideas related to your domain. A question from Pallavi is please machine learning information. Could you expand on your question, please? A question from Mahesh is what type of models or architectures are core to Turno's current product line? For example, transformer-based graph model or diffusion models. So as of now, having the we are utilizing the OpenAI's API. Okay. So it utilizes the OpenAI's API to get the results. Right now, we are not training the model, and we would be training maybe in future, but not right now. Okay. A question from Virbahu is that what will happen if Turno has access uh, to FMCG fast-moving data in ERP? If you are not tagging the data in if you're not tagging the data in Turno, how the performance is managed, what is the biggest size Turno has handled, also what is the latency and performance measures. Good question, Virbahu. Yes. So um, so Turno is being utilized in one of the largest pharma and wellness companies in the world. Okay. And basically, Turno is, we can share with you the case studies for those customers. Okay. And and you don't need to tag the data. That's the most important feature of Turno. That you don't have to tag the data. You don't have to, you know, describe the data, and you don't have to build that metadata layer by yourself. Turno builds that metadata layer automatically on your data. It studies your data, figures out the full knowledge graph on it, and it also figures out the descriptions, better names for it, and also figures out the correlation and the various kinds of duplications are there. If the data is duplicate, irrelevant, it'll basically just clean that up, as in it'll ignore that data without modifying any of your data sources. Second, you don't need to copy here. Your data can continue to change. Your data can continue to change, you right? And still, Turno will function as is because we are not copying your data. We are just like a data scientist. How would a data scientist do if they join your organization? They will go through your data, make their notes, they will talk to you, learn from you, and then and keep all this information. And then whenever you ask them, they will basically just give the results. Okay. And just like a data scientist would maintain the library of functions for your organization. Similarly, Turno maintains those library of functions for your organization. Whenever it's needed, it'll basically utilize those functions. Functions as in scripts, its own scripts for your organization. Okay. So a question from Sandeep is, I think metadata is still required to ensure correct output. That's correct. But to a very large extent, Turno is able to figure out the metadata. Okay. And whenever it has confusions, it does a reasoning on the confusion that we have these kind of tables and there is a, all of them look same and then studies and breaks it down and again comes up with better names. So it kind of does a lot of heavy lifting to come up with a beautiful metadata for your organization so that you don't have to do it. Right now, when I talk to quite a few companies, like the top companies, the biggest challenge they told me was that the metadata and the whole schema is in a mess. Therefore, none of the AI tools are able to do the analysis. But in our case, we are solving exactly that problem. That messy schema, messy names, too many tables, too many databases. Nobody knows what is where, nobody knows what table does what, and so on. So we are solving exactly that problem. It goes through your entire schema and thousands of tables. We have tested on the organizations having thousands of tables. Okay. And yeah, so that's the core idea. Very beautiful questions, very important questions. Probably everybody. Uh, Thank you, Virbahu, Sandeep, and yeah. A question from Virbahu is that further question on performance. How do you access Cloud DB? Perform data manipulation. Few cloud providers do not provide access to tables directly. Can you please explain? Good question. Good question. Yes, many cloud-based services do not provide direct access to their database, right? So what we do is we create something called MCP, Model Context Protocol, for those services. Usually they themselves provide you that the MCP. You can connect that MCP here and then use. Okay. A question from Pallavi. What do you understand by machine learning and how does it differ from artificial intelligence and data science? So artificial intelligence and data science basically is like this. So AI is like an objective. Okay. So basically, and thank you for clarifying that question, Pallavi. So the question is, what is the difference between AI, data science, and machine learning? And how do they fit together? Just for the clarification, I think this is important for everybody to know that when we use these words interchangeably, where do we draw the line? So AI is a big circle, as in AI is like an objective. Everything where we are making machines intelligent is called AI, artificial intelligence, right? So, so if a machine, we are basically built, whether we are coding by ourselves or we are letting machine come up with ideas, everything is combined into AI. Okay. And AI includes software, hardware, automatic data extraction, analytics, data science, everything is in a big thing. Then anything where we do the data, something to do with data is called data science. Like it, data science includes data analysis, data like machine learning and other strategies and algorithms. While on other hand, machine learning means machine learning from data. Rather than people writing rules, if this is this, then do this, if this is this, do this. Machine learning algorithm figures out these rules based on the data. A classic example would be that let's say you have to build a spam filter, right? One way would be we write the logic by ourselves, writing if the subject line contains these keywords, this is a spam. The other way would be to train a machine learning model, which will basically we tell the machine that these emails are spam, these emails are not spam. Learn from it. So the algorithm will learn from this labeled data, and this learning from the data is called machine learning. Okay. I hope that clears the question, clears the meaning of AI, data science, and machine learning. Yeah. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. Wonderful. A question from Vishwa is that's a very good question. And yes. So question is still now, as I understand, Turno is a replacement for data scientist. And we do not need to hire a data scientist and functional guy like me uh, can use and draw the insights and forecast. That's a very good point, and that's exactly what the objective is. Okay, but most of the organizations are not able to hire and retain the data scientists. Data center scientists in general are in scarcity. For quite a few time, like for quite some time, we have been, I've been teaching people data science. I have been building data scientists. Lots of my students, as part of CloudX Lab, are data scientists across the globe. But the reality still remains. If you go to a manufacturing company or organizations, you will find that they still lack a lot of data scientists. And those data scientists who are working there, they're overloaded. They're just too much work. Okay. So on one hand, Turno will be like a assistant to the data scientist. On the other hand, it can be like a junior data scientist assisting the product managers. Like if you are leading let's say you are a functional expert, right? And a functional expert like product manager or program leader or something like operations head or something like that, who understands entire thing. Now you can ask her, know that, hey, this is my stuff. Can you do this? And then it can do that. Like just like a junior data scientist, it can just get the work done. Even the data scientists can use it day in, day out. Like myself, I use Turno very often for lots of different kind of analysis, right? As simple as that. I mean, I can show you something very interesting that you is a use case, but may not be relevant to this particular webinar. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I can do the all kinds of analysis. Okay. I wanted to clean up my folder structure, so I asked it to clean up the folder structure. It did. Now, here is a very beautiful example. I wanted to see, right? This is a very different use case. Okay. And right, I wanted to study how do the world's languages relate to each other? So I said, downloaded the characters of every language, build a model around it. If you see, I'm giving instructions on building a model, and then telling that do the hierarchical clustering. So this is what I told it. So it just started going through the internet, downloaded all this, languages and images of all the characters from across the globe, and then it came up with this strategy that I'm going to do this, and started doing that. And in the end, it figured out this. It figured out Latin and Greek are nearby, Armenian and Greek are a little far, and so on. Hebrew and Latin are far away, like that. So it figured out this basically this the plot. Okay, it figured out entire of the you know entire of entire of the languages. So, and then I said, can you, instead of including only the top prime these basic languages, can you include all the languages? And it did that. It basically came up. So it did the visual, how should I say? It trained a model on using the AI, using the machine learning. It built the machine learning model to detect the similarity between languages. Okay. So here we have, okay. So you can see this is the chart that it has prepared. Okay, this is the chart of all the fonts of all the languages in the world. Okay, these two fonts are very close by. These fonts are a little far away. These Egyptian and Arabic are very close by in the visual sense. Okay, so this is the visual analysis. Then I said, right, this one was right. Let me go back. I'll show you some more things. It's beautiful, actually. Okay. Yeah. Here, I have said, this time I said, download 100 pages of text from internet in every language of the world, create the letter-wise frequency and compute the TF-IDF. Okay. Even if you don't say that, this is the internal term for frequency. And then this is a standard term for that data scientists use. Then do the hierarchical clustering. So as a senior data scientist, I would usually have my junior data scientist do all of this for me. I'll just give an idea that can you do this. So now that work can be done by Turno. And Turno did come up with very detailed analysis of, let's just say, here. Now it has come up with different names here. I'll show you better names. And I said try again, so it is trying again. And can you put the names instead of code in the dendrogram? It put the names here. Okay. And okay, translate the label names into English. I right. So it did the translation of the label names. Now see this beautiful thing. Here, this is the hierarchy based on the character frequency. Okay. So you can see there are so many languages in the world, and it came up with this hierarchy that which one is closest and so on. So something that most of the research teams would take months to get it done. It was able to do it probably like 10, 15 minutes. Okay. So it's your data scientist in practical sense. All right. Wonderful. Let me see more questions if there are more questions. Okay. All right. A question from Shreyas is that how are you differentiating from Snowflake? Snowflake, I mean, Snowflake is a kind of a data warehouse or data like manual analytics. So Snowflake is probably one of the leaders in providing a platform for data analytics. While Turno was designed ground up from the perspective of data scientist. So we are our primary objective is to build a data scientist who would behave exactly like data scientist. He should be curious, he should have a memory, he should learn with you, it should be adaptable, and it will be helpful. Okay, that is the primary differentiator. And it should also be secure so that your LLM or any other system cannot hurt your data, cannot hurt your systems. So those two considerations have been the primary thing. So it has to be like a data scientist. It should learn with you. It should it should be curious, and it should be secure, and it should be retrainable. Okay, so those are the few considerations with respect to turnover. Okay. A question from Sandeep is that also another big challenge I would like to mention that companies' data is not in good quality. Hence, how AI will provide. This means, yes, that's correct. So thank you for that. So we are building the checks and balances with respect to the data quality, and it does some amount of analysis to figure out whether the data is of good quality or not. Further, you can just tell Turno that can you review my data set and figure out if this data makes sense or not. So he'll do that job. Okay. So it's kind of very versatile. You can basically, it's only your ideas that are the limitation when it comes to Turno, but Turno does all kinds of things. You can tell it that can you just go through all these databases and tell me which of these databases is duplicate data and so on. So it'll just study everything and will come up with that. Second, you can also tell that can you forecast my sales for next year, and it'll be able to do that. So this is one thing that we are doing with one of the pharma and wellness companies, one of the largest pharma and wellness company. They are using Turner for doing their forecasting, and the way they are doing is that basically they're taking the climate data and their own data from past years and the future, and based on that, they are doing the overall analysis of the demand of their product. So they are able to do very, very close. I mean, probably the one of the best forecasting that they have forecasting results they have got in past. Okay. No, Anmol, the website is working. You can just go to turno.ai. Turno.ai. Okay. Okay. Yes, we will get back to case study. Thank you, Vignesh. A question from Prashant is, thank you for curious, how does Turno AI deal with the black box problems? Is there a way Turno AI can help us validate how it's making decisions? Of course, if you take a look at this, right? That's a beautiful thing about Turno. It shows you all the steps that it is doing. Okay. So it is very transparent. Okay. So it says that we'll start by retrieving the list of all the Wikipedia language additions at MediaWiki. This site gives us language code and its corresponding API endpoint. And then those who are inclined, they can take a look at the Python that it has generated for the same. And then it also provides a nice explanation. So every step it provides the thought and the explanation. Okay. And whatever is happening underneath, that also it provides. So it goes like this. So it generated this code, right? It has generated the thought, then code, then the explanation. Then we take that code, run it in the environment, and it says basically there's some error that has occurred. Now it will try to fix this error. Okay. And it is reviewing the choice. Now this time it worked fine. It fixed the error, and Okay. But it gave you the zero addition, so it is telling you exactly that. And then again running it. So this time it got more details, and now it's moving ahead for the next pages. So it kind of works. It is fairly transparent. Okay. It is fairly transparent, unlike being a black box. Our purpose is that it should be transparent. Okay. Our purpose is it has to be transparent. Okay. I hope that makes sense, Prashant. A question from Rohan is that does Turno's knowledge graph only take in the metadata of said data source? Yes. It basically, one is the knowledge graph, it takes the data from the data source as well as studies the data and comes up with new metadata. Okay. It comes up with new metadata by itself. Okay. And that is something that is fairly different about Turno. Okay. Further, when it interacts with you, it learns a lot about your database from your questions, from your tidbits of information. It kind of keeps on building the mental map. Okay. So that's the idea. Now, let's go back to the previous case study. Yeah. Yeah. So the first case study is sales forecasting and inventory optimization, right? Many logistics networks manage warehouses of different sizes and infrastructure quality using uniform policy and limiting performance and visibility and so on. This one size fits all approach often underused large sites, overloads small ones, and so on. Right? The goal is to leverage warehouse performance data. Okay, so let's take a look at it in detail. So this is one of the examples. So in this example, okay, the goal is to leverage warehouse performance data, including throughput, refill frequency, breakdowns, and location risks to figure out the hidden bottlenecks and access infrastructure resilience, right? By analyzing how size, workforce, and location affect the output and reliability, organizations can design data-driven, location-aware strategies that optimize operations, reduce time, and so on. So we basically are going to analyze size, workforce, and location, and we'll try to understand how these factors affect the outcome, reliability, and reliability. Organizations can design and how we can design the data-driven location-aware strategies for this. Okay, so let's jump right into it. So if you, yeah, okay. So here, basically, the first question is let's say we attach these files, date to week map. Let's take a look at what does the file looks like. So this is date to week mapping, and this is product pricing. These are the product prices, outlet, product identifier, week ID, selling price. Okay, so we have that. And then we have sample submission. Okay, this is ID, these many sales, and so on. Now, these are the various kinds of data set that is available. So now here we are saying what is the average daily demand for each product in each store. So we attached all these files, and starts to go through it, and it says that the after analyzing the average daily demand for in each store has been calculated and saved here. Okay. So for outlet this, product identifier this, average sales is this much. Okay. So it got some numbers. Okay. It contains the average daily demand for each product and so on. Now, what is the average weekly demand based on the same data? Then it computes the average weekly demand. And this is from happening from the files. Okay. Now, the average weekly demand contains the average weekly demand for each product and so on. Right? Okay. Now, which product has stable versus volatile demand? Okay. We will compute weekly demand variability for each product and so on. Basically we are trying to figure out which products have stable and which product have volatile demand. So it is doing that analysis and it has given this list that these products have basically stable demand because the right based on the standard deviation and okay. This one has volatile demand. Okay, so on. So merging daily sales with week map, aggregating the total weekly sales, and so on. So you can basically see that we attach the file once and we are talking to it. It is doing the analysis and it's giving you steps how it's doing the analysis in detail. It's also showing you what code it wrote to give you the results so that you know exactly what's happening. Okay. So it gives you detailed steps on how it arrived on the analysis. Okay. And then, right? So it says that the stable products in first week have this it has come up with it figured out that there is something called MAPE. MAPE is a measure of volatility and it has listed all of them. Right. And then how does seasonality, weekdays, weekends, holidays affect the demand? Right. So it is studying that and it has also plotted it for you. Okay. So so it says that sales rise gradually from Monday through Friday. Okay. And weekday versus weekend, average sales are okay. Here, this is better. So weekday average sales this much, weekend average sales this much, non-holiday average sales this much, holiday average sales is this much. Okay, so it has come up with these observation. Okay, and yeah, yeah. Okay, which product? So this is the analysis done by some data scientist on this data using Turno. So it just uploaded the data once, it started asking all kinds of questions. It continued to do that. Okay. So you'll basically share this analysis and you can take a look. Okay. Reorder threshold, safety buffers, and so on. So it does all of them. All right. So you can see all sorts of examples and use cases. Yeah. All right. Next is e-commerce and customer behavior analysis, right? So many e-commerce platforms aim for fast, reliable delivery, but lack data-driven visibility into regional performance gaps. Okay, so here the goal is to leverage data and delivery data to estimate including estimated versus actual delivery times. Okay, so the basically we are trying to do some delivery time analysis. I want to explore the OList e-commerce dataset as if I am analyzing an online marketplace. First, can you give me a dataset overview? Please show number of rows, columns, list of columns, data types, counts of missing values per column, first 5 rows, a summary of numeric fields. So, and results in the markdown clean table. And this, we have attached all the files and what it is doing all the calculation for you. And this is what it has come up with. This file has these many rows, these many columns, and so on. So it has come up with neat file containing all the data. neat presentation of all the details about every file that we have shared. Okay. All right. So here is the markdown file that we asked it to prepare. It has prepared the markdown file. Let's say where, oh, it's opening. Yeah, here. This is what it has given in detail about all your files. Okay. Now, from this, right? From this one, show distributions of this, their percentage share, return both a markdown table and bar chart. Okay, it says I'll load the payment and it'll start going. Okay. Now, it has come up with this detailed analysis. Okay. Okay. Now we are asking for a credit card and show the distribution of payments, installments, and so on. So it does that thing. So you can basically just give your data set, ask it to do the analysis, and it can do the analysis. Now join this order list and payments, include any orders. For each payment, I compute the total payment value and so on. So it is doing that. So it has done the total revenue from credit card, boleto, voucher, and debit card. Okay, so it has given you that numbers. Please generate the revenue mix by payment type, sort bars by share data, and so on. So it has done that job. Okay. All right. So you can see this, it has the full control. Okay. So many a times what happens is this is an ad hoc analysis whereby you are attaching the files as when needed. It's not really connected to the database, but it is just doing the analysis on top of these files. Now, basically, if you have your data in databases, that will be the best for it. Okay. All right, let's go back to where we were. So we have, then similarly, you can do the warehouse operations and efficiency analysis, right? The goal is to leverage warehouse performance data, covering throughput, refill frequency, breakdowns, and food exposures to identify bottlenecks, evaluate infrastructure resilience, and optimize workforce. Uh-oh, what happened? Okay. These are most of these analysis are done by the interns that who are working with the Turno, or the users who are using Turno and have agreed to share with our larger audience. Okay. So here, describe the attached data set, including the column type and so on. So the purpose is that given a data set, we are trying to figure out the various trends. So it does that analysis and then explain the distribution of warehouse and their effect on product. Okay. Which warehouse has the largest, this visualize top 10. Okay. So it is basically trying to the figure out which warehouses have the mean, I mean, which warehouse has how many average transport issues. East, north, south, west. Okay. Examine this storage reported and this correlation with this. So it is trying to draw the correlation. So you can see the correlation very clearly. And it has come up with, okay. So you can see that product throughput is directly impacted by number of issues. That is obvious. And number of breakdown, yeah, again, same thing, very strongly correlated. Okay. Analyze flood underscore impacted and flood proof warehouse and their operational efficiency. Okay. So those, right? Yeah. You can see the average throughput is generally better in case of the proof and non-proof, and so on. Similarly, with respect to the flood proof versus non-flood proof. Not proof, you can see, and yeah, okay, all right. So it has done that kind of analysis, compare warehouse in urban and rural areas on the various matrices, and then it does that. And afterwards, recommend operation improvements based on the warehouse size, location, workforce, and so on. Okay. And it has given the suggestion. Okay. So it says that, right? So it has given all that detailed, uh, you know, improvement suggestions. Okay. All right. These are few of the examples that people have been doing. So you can also do many other things on top of Turno using your data. Say, for example, the Global Manufacturer Logistics Corp manages over 1,000 SKUs across Asia, Europe, and North America. And they face challenges of overstocking, slow moving items, stocking out of fast selling items due to inconsistent forecast. And the Turno solution is Turno integrate historical sales, weather data, promotions, and regional trend to predict SKU level demand in around 8 to 12 weeks in advance, right? And it identifies is that demand usually surges in North America for eco-packaged goods, and it flags potential overstocking in Southeast Asia. And the outcome is 15% reduction in inventory holding costs and 9% fewer stockouts across key distribution hubs and smoother production planning. These are the real use cases. I can't show you these examples, but this has been used. We have changed the name. This is just the hypothetical name. Okay. And similarly, imagine that there is a agriculture supply company. It's an agriculture input company. It sources raw materials from multiple countries, and and the geopolitical tensions and weather disruptions frequently caused delays in shipments and price spikes. Now, Turno continuously analyzes global news, shipping data, and suppliers' performance metrics, detects early risks indicator like port strikes or drought conditions, and so on, right? And then it kind of suggests alternate suppliers based on the cost, reliability, and lead times, right? The right? Use case three could be that imagine that there is a logistics company that operates in let's say operates more than 800 delivery vehicles across Europe and Middle East. Rising the fuel cost and delivery delays affect both profitability and customer satisfaction. And using Turno, they can using Turno powered routing engine combines real-time traffic and weather and gets the result done. Okay. And right, so they can dynamically reroute the vehicles and so on using Turno. Okay, using Turno, they can do the real-time analytics. A question from Pranay is, does it support Japanese language? Yeah, I think you can ask a question because we are using OpenAI API, and they support all languages. All right. Their LLM usually support this. And the LLM we are using is a little costly one, and it is a bigger model. Okay. So the warehouse automation efficiency, right? Imagine that there is a company which manages multiple automated warehouse globally. Picking efficiency varies due to poor slot strategies and unpredictable inbound volumes. So Turno can analyze the product velocity, seasonality, and SKU dimensions to optimize the warehouse layout dynamically and suggest slot relocations for high frequency items. So, this is what usually the role of a data scientist was and is in most of the top organizations. So you can essentially ask the Turno to do the same thing. Okay. And since it knows where is your data, what data to talk to, it will be able to come up with the results really quick. Okay. All right, there are quite a few more use cases, right? Like for example, there is a company which has the emission, wants to achieve net zero emissions in the supply chain by 2030. The company struggles to accurately measure emissions across this. So the Turno aggregates shipment, fuel, and suppliers' data to calculate end-to-end carbon impact, right? This way they can do the overall impact using Turno by analyzing their data. Okay. Similarly, for predictive maintenance is another a big challenge in most of the organizations that that most of the factories they basically most of the companies they have, let's say, forklifts and conveyor systems in large warehouse, and there is unexpected breakdown causes major downtime and delay. So Turno connects to the IoT sensors data with maintenance logs to predict equipment failures in advance and schedules maintenance before the failure occurs. Now, this basically would have a larger impact on their downtime and will also increase the lifespan by multiple times and so on. All right. So those are very brief case studies. We will be sharing this presentation with all of you. And yes, open to questions. Yeah, please go ahead. So in simple words, Turno can do all kinds of analysis on your data, and it can ease out the workload on most of the data scientists, or and data scientists would be able to spend their lot of time coming up with ideas, hypotheses, and the questions that the Turno can solve. Okay, they will the data scientists or top management will not spend time hunting around for where is the data, right? Where is the data? What does this table mean? And what are the things that Turno can do? You can also ask Turno that based on the data that we have connected with you, what are the various kinds of reports, data science that you can do? And it can do all of that, right? So, okay. So based on all the data set you have, you can ask Turno to come up with questions and so on. You can say that I am a company which is, into logistics. Okay. Can you go through the entire of my databases and figure out what are the improvements we can do? So it'll basically go through all of it and then give you that you may do forecasting, you can do the clustering, you can do this, you can do that. And then you can perform each of them and then observe what's going on. All right. And I mean, that's a beautiful part of it. And when you say that we are a logistics company and this data belongs to a logistics company, it will make a note of it so that you don't have to explain this again to it. All right. So every time you do that, it'll basically just come up with the beautiful ideas like what's the purpose of this database, what does this company do, and so on. It'll basically make a note of it and will reutilize all this knowledge. Okay. What are the technologies used for building it, like languages and right? So we have we are using Python, Django. We are using the our own chain of thought. We have designed our own sandbox system. We have designed a firewall for the database. We have designed our own memory model, and we've designed the UI is in done in React, and the backend is in Django. All right. We'll have more sessions coming in various domains. And we would love to invite everybody if you are looking to do some data science internship. You are, let's say, from a domain. You are a domain expert, but you do not have an experience in data science or machine learning. I would invite you to be the fellow or be the intern with Turno so that you can basically learn to use Turno and do the analysis. Okay. So feel free to refer your friends, feel free to, sign up for Eterno as well as the internship, and we would love to work with you in future. All right. So I mean, we are getting amazing response globally of Turno in the Americas, in Canada, in Southeast Asia and Europe. We are having great reception, and we would love to have everybody to be part of this revolution. All right. So thank you, everyone, and have a good day. All right. You will get your certificate and your, you know, presentation and the recordings of this session. And we look forward to see you all in the next talk. All right. In case you feel that Trello can be used in your organization, feel free to reach out. We will like to set it up, whether it's for your own machine or own system. You want the separate system, we'll love to work with you. Okay. So feel free to reach out, and we will love to help you in your implementing the data science and AI in your organizations. Wonderful. All right. Bye bye. Have a good day.